radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right. Yeah, man. How you doing? How you doing? Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Today's Tuesday, August 7th, 2021. 230 days into the new year, only 145 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That's right, a total undisclosed location, but it is beautiful. It is. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? All right, see this pose? This one arm up. I don't know if you can see it. One arm up like this, and this arm is down. Right? This is like my pose. And a photographer was in the bunker. Nice camera, taking pictures. And the act natural, do your thing. So, put on, I even turned on the mic so I could hear and this was the shot. Right? That's it. This is it. It's really weird. I have a dent in this arm pad from this. I have a dent in this arm pad from this elbow. And I didn't really realize it, but I'm just wondering how much I do that. I've got to do it a lot because I've got the dents. I've got the dents. This is the pose, man. This is it right here. This is it. This is the real church. This is what's happening. All right. Tonight, Ronny Le Blanc is here of Expedition Bigfoot. And I don't know where this conversation is going to go tonight. I'm so excited to have Ronny on with us and to have him back with us. But I got the feeling we're doing Bigfoot and UFOs tonight. I don't think we have a choice. I don't think Ronny does. But Ronny Le Blanc, and I'm so proud of everything that he's doing out there. So that is tonight. Tomorrow night, right here on this very program, Avi Loeb will be here. We're going to be talking about the Galileo Project, and we're all excited about that, and that is tomorrow. And I am just giving you the heads up, folks. Thursday, I am taking the night off. That's right. I'm taking the night off, and I've got a very busy 4-day weekend in front of me that starts Thursday morning. So more on that a little bit later. But for now, all you need to know is that I'm taking Thursday off. That's it. I don't want any emails. Hey, man, where's the show? I don't want to hear about it. I don't want notifications. Where's the podcast? I don't want to hear it. The members area, man, doesn't have last night's show. I'm just letting you know now. If you're listening to this show later in the podcast, listen to me. There's no show on Thursday. I'm taking the day off. I'm sort of taking the day off. I'm not going to broadcast, but I'm going to be working. Got it? Got it. All right. Tonight, Ronny Le Blanc is here. And let me get straight to it. I've got a lot of things that are happening this year. And first off, coming up, and this starts tomorrow night, it's Making Contact. The Making Contact Convergence Conference at the Making Contact campus. The links are below in the description box. You can go. It's all over my social media. You can go. Click on the link below. The promo code is JimmySave100. You're actually going to save $220 with that promo code JimmySave100. So that is below. That starts tomorrow night. That's a 5-night conference. It's virtual. You're going to create your own avatar. You're going to go into this artificial reality. You're going to go into the AR world. It is absolutely stunning. And you're going to go and check all of that out. So the promo code is below. That starts tomorrow night. 5 nights, August 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd. All right. And I'll be there Saturday night. I'm going to be hanging out virtually as well. So come and find me and come and say hello. All right, and get everything set up. Also in the video description box below is the Conscious Life Expo. That is a live in-person event at the LAX Hilton. It is also at the Hilton in London. 2 countries, all weekend long, September 17th, 18th, 19th. Promo code for that is Jimmy. The information is below in the video description box, and we've got ads and everything else. So go to Conscious Life Expo and get your tickets. Would love to see you. We're going to have our Fade to Black booth at the Hilton. So come and hang out. I'll be hosting all weekend, hanging out. Lots of big events, and it's very cool. Then right after that is Starworks in Laughlin, Nevada at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. And go to Starworks USA there for tickets and info. And very excited about that. I just 3 conferences right in a row. Very, very, very cool. We've got to get life back to normal in this world. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. What's this? Crop Circle. Watership down. Really? Reported in August. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool crop circle. Right on. Right on. Dan from Australia. That will get that'll get a like every time right there on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hello to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, The Bunker Cam, KGRA. All of you, welcome. Let's get to the breaking news. And Florida man, right? I'm not so sure if that's a thing anymore, because these days it's California man. And here we go. A California man has filed a lawsuit after he was injured trying to flee from a bear that surprised him in a dumpster while he was visiting Lake Tahoe. That California man is John Donaldson, and he's seeking $15,000 in damages from a condominium association and a waste management company for injuries he said he suffered in the encounter at a condo complex in the Incline Village area, which has had a long history of problems with bears breaking into homes, cars, garbage cans in search of food. Donaldson, who had rented a cottage in the area, already that's his fault, right, with his wife, was out for a walk with his dog in September 2019, went to throw a bag of dog waste into the dumpster. That's his fault, right? According to the lawsuit filed in Nevada's Second Judicial Court, When Donaldson opened the dumpster, he was startled by the bear, who began coming towards him, and he stumbled. He twisted his left leg and ankle and fell onto his back. Oh, there you go. I had a good laugh. I mean, seriously, too funny. Anyway, the government of Israel. Now, here in California, we go through fire season every single year. I have seen things that are incredible, and I've been in California now for 35 years. That means 35 years of 35 fire seasons. I've seen it all. But right now, the rest of the world is getting a little taste of it. The government of Israel has called for international help as the country faces a major wildfire outside of Jerusalem. The out-of-control blaze has already devastated swaths of woods and farmland, threatening several villages. Some 75 firefighting crews and 10 planes are battling the blaze near Jerusalem earlier today. Now, French officials confirmed today that thousands of people have been evacuated as a precautionary measure, as around 750 emergency personnel battle an intense wildfire near the tourist resort of Saint-Tropez. And in Spain, Spanish officials have confirmed that around 1,000 people have been evacuated from the rural Navala Cruz area after blazing fires fueled by strong winds and high heat destroyed at least 12,000 hectares of land over the weekend. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. I mean, just put the picture in your mind. All right. Now, in a stunning demonstration of one of Einstein's most famous equations, physicists are now claiming to have created matter from pure light for the very first time. Albert Einstein's famous E equals MC square equation says that if you smash two sufficiently energetic photons, or light particles, into each other, you should be able to create matter in the form of an electron and its antimatter opposite, a positron. Researchers from the Brookhaven National Laboratory use the laboratory's relativistic heavy ion collider, and they have been able to produce measurements that closely match predictions for the strange transforming act. Now, it's measurements. They haven't actually got the matter from light, but the measurement says they got to keep on testing. But it's pretty interesting. All right. Now, here you go. I got some Twitter news. Twitter will begin a pilot test program to let users flag to the company tweets they believe containing misleading content. Part of its efforts, they say, to reduce misinformation on the platform. Now, users will be able to report a tweet they believe contains misleading political or health information or inaccurate for any other reason. The company will test the feature in the United States, in Australia, in South Korea. That's right. This just sounds like a bad idea. It does, but there you go. Now, NASA's administrator, Bill Nelson, was scheduled to obtain a classified briefing on unidentified aerial phenomena today. This news, which comes from two documents released through the Freedom of Information Act and obtained by the Black Vault, was revealed within two official international and interagency relations weekly update emails that were sent on July 18th and July 25th of this year. Both updates outline a list of upcoming activities. That's right. For Administrator Nelson and other NASA personnel, and both list a briefing to Administrator on Task Force report on unidentified aerial phenomena, end quote, set for today. But I've got no updates yet from John Greenwald and the Black Vault. I've been watching all day long, waiting for the updates. Got nothing yet. But John, of course, first broke this news, and we will continue to follow this story. Hopefully, excuse me, hopefully tomorrow we'll get an update. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro today is 78 years old. Sean Penn. Sean Penn is 61. Incredible. Guitar great Eric Johnson today is 67. And Go-Go Belinda Carlisle today is 63. And I'm going to jump ahead. Guitarist Gilby Clarke is 59. I was on Christina Gomez's show earlier today, talking about Majestic 12. And I don't know how this happened, but on her show, somehow the Go-Go's come up. And I said, Christina, bless her heart. She had never heard of the Go-Go's. And I was like, what? Is that possible? Wow. Holy crap. Right? Okay, so anyway, but this is my point with this. Happy birthday, Belinda. And there is a documentary on Netflix. It just got released called The Go-Go's. That is an absolute 100% must watch. It's one of the best documentaries on any band that I've ever seen, and it chronicles. It goes back. They were able to, and this is what was so cool about, and I enjoy stuff like this. They've got videos, of course, pictures, but they've got video of the Go-Go's back in the day when they were a punk band at the Mask, right? And there was another shot. It looked like it might have been the screen downtown at the Roosevelt Hotel. That's what it looked like with that background. I could be wrong. But, wow, just incredible footage. And they were so good as a punk band, by the way. But their evolution and how they arrived, because by the time the end of that third album, oh, man, it's just such great songwriting. They were just an incredible band. And but it's all there. There's a lot of sucky moments in how do I say this? With any band. You've got to get new members. You've got to do the, and you've got to believe in yourself. And some of that stuff sucks, but it's all there. And all of the past it's just an incredible documentary, and I enjoyed it from beginning to end. And it's got a great ending too for a documentary. It's really cool. So everybody check it out. And I was always a huge Go-Go's fan. I just love the band. That's it. I thought the songs were always amazing and well crafted, but the documentary is incredible. So go and check that out. Just a coincidence that I happened to mention that today on Christina's show, and it's Belinda's birthday. All right, kind of weird. There you go. All right, let's see where I'm at. Our dead guy's birthday today is Sib Hashian. Sib. Incredible. 1949 to 2017, died at the age of 67. Sib was chosen by Boston founder and leader Tom Schultz in 1975 to replace original drummer Jim Masdea when Epic Records put their foot down, that Masdea be replaced for the recording of their debut album, Boston, that incredible album. Well, Hashian is heard on Boston's two greatest albums, Boston and Don't Look Back. Now, I've played air drums to Sib more than any other drummer, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Man, I used to play guitar, right? But I had a pair of drumsticks, and I was like 14 years old, man. That Boston album, I wore it out, air drumming to Sib. He was just incredible. He died on March 22nd, 2017 at the age of 67. after collapsing in the middle of a performance on a cruise ship, the Independence of the Seas. If you're going to go out, you got to go out in style, rock and roll, and Sid did just that. Happy birthday, Sid Hashian. All right, on this day in history, 1978, the Double Eagle II completes the first transatlantic balloon flight when it lands near Paris 137 hours after lifting off from Maine. It took Ben Abruzzo, Maxine Anderson, and Larry Newman 6 days on this day in 1978. All right, here you go. Fader fact. I'll get in my position for this. Fader fact. This is vetted. Saddam Hussein was such a big fan of the movie Scarface that he named his trust fund Montana Management. After Pacino's money laundering front in the film, that's right, Saddam held a 2% ownership in magazines Elle and Woman's Day. That is your favorite fact. You didn't know that, did you? Montana Management. There you go. Tonight, very special guest Ronny Le Blanc is here of Expedition Bigfoot. And I kind of let the cat out of the bag. What I want to do tonight, I want to do Bigfoot and UFOs. So we're going to start off with Bigfoot. But I'm going to weave this watch how I do it. I'm just going to listen to how I do it. I'm just going to get this thing right over to UFOs. That's right. Tomorrow night, Avi Loeb is here, and right now I'm going to hit this River Moon coffee. RivermoonWellness.com. I like my coffee, Doc. I do. RivermoonWellness.com. Fade to Black blend, Game Changer blend. You can go to the website. You can go to the Amazon store. If you're on the website, promo code F2B blend. And there you go. All right. Now, I had a weird thought. Pop into my head today. And I was as shocked, I think, as everybody was to see Afghanistan and the government there fall so quickly, and how quick the Taliban took over the country. And I'm not even sure if the Taliban even fired a shot. All right? Maybe they did. Maybe they shot in the air. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But I started thinking about this, and I know that there's a lot of outrage right now. And although this isn't a political situation, and I want you to hear me out, started to think about Afghanistan and the fact that they have been fighting a war that we started, by the way. Well, we started 9/11. Okay, all right, Osama bin Laden. Okay, all right, I get all that. But 20 years. Now, I want you, and this is what popped into my head. Why? I mean, how could the Taliban just roll over the entire country in a couple of hours? Couple of hours. That was it. And, I mean, the president of Afghanistan just jumps on a helicopter. He's gone. How is that possible? And then I just had this strange thought. And it's not, it may not be that the Afghan army lost the will to fight. Let's put that aside. I don't think so. That the Taliban is some intimidating force. I don't think that's it either. Or, you know, and how could the Afghan people want to be, you know, terrorized by the Taliban and Islamic law and what? You know what? Okay, you know what? Put all of that aside. Just maybe they were tired of war. That's it. And as long as the United States was there, they were fighting a war, and they were forced into fighting a war. But as soon as we split, maybe they were just tired of bombs and bullets for 20 years. And that's it. And we don't have to fight anymore. And just maybe the Taliban is a better thing than war. Just think about that for a second. You know, we've been dealing with the pandemic for almost 2 years. Face mask. How upset are we over that? No more face mask. We're ready to go to blows over face mask. Imagine a war going on in the United States for 20 years. Your kids listening to bombs every day and bullets and machine gun fire and tanks in the street for 20 years, an entire generation. So just maybe they were tired. Maybe they were just done. And that's it. It's not political. It's not even religious. It's not. And I just thought that thought just popped into my head. You know what? Come on in. We're done. We're done. We don't want to fight anymore. It's their country. Maybe they just don't want to fight. They don't want any more war. And that's my thing today. And I was reading through some of the news. And it was just like I almost disagreed completely with everything on every news outlet. Everything that they're trying to portray, it's this fault, this is the reason, it's this. I just disagreed with all of it. I think that's disinformation. I really do. Just maybe if one news outlet said something like, well, maybe they were just tired of 20 years of war. And you know what? That would make a lot of sense. Everything else, nah. You know, how could the Taliban roll over 300,000 Afghan troops? Well, you know what? Because they were done. Tired. Can't blame them. All right. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I just had to get that out. I just had to get this off my chest. It popped in my head. I wondered if I was going to talk about this tonight. And I thought, you know what? It's just too important. I think it's on everybody's minds. And I just want to put that suggestion out there and give you an alternative way to look at this than the way the media, the politicians, the religious sides of things are trying to paint this picture. Just maybe they were tired of war. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight on this program, I'm excited. Ronny Le Blanc of Expedition Bigfoot. Ronny is returning tomorrow night. Avi Loeb, the Galileo Project. Want to remind all of you, Thursday, I'm taking the day off. That's right. I'm still working, but I'm taking the day off. All right? All right. I'll be right back after this short break. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Race Hobbs. KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. with wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at gettheti.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to gettheti.com. That's gettheti.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Gettheti.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's gettheti.com. Gettheti.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight on this very program, Ronny Le Blanc. I just like saying the name, Ronny Le Blanc. Ronny Le Blanc of Expedition Bigfoot is here, and tomorrow night, I want to remind everybody, Avi Loeb of Harvard University is stopping by for a couple of hours, and then Thursday, no show. I'm taking the day off. All right, so save your emails. But tonight it's Ronny. He is a globally recognized figure in the world of paranormal, Bigfoot, UFOs. He has been featured on Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, In Search of Monsters, and stars in, of course, Travel Channel's Expedition Bigfoot, and Paranormal Caught on Camera, too, as well, by the way. Ronny is an independent researcher, screenwriter, and author of the critically acclaimed best-selling book, Monsterland, Encounters with UFOs, Bigfoot and Orange Orbs. I've got my own copy. Thank you very much. Highlighting his experience of research in that area called Monsterland that he's been hanging out in. That's Ronny's problem. His website is RonnyLeBlanc.com. I'm going to welcome back, finally,
to Fade to Black, Ronny Le Blanc. Ronny, man.
How are you, brother?
How are you? And this is the thing, Ronny. I've really, I'm just going to put this out there right now. I've really enjoyed your success, right? And I've been sitting in the background and watching all of this. But I'm going to let the audience know that Ronny and I used to hang out. We did a lot of things back in the day, but now he's famous. And so now it's, hey, Jimmy, I'm too busy. I've got stuff going on, but I'll get back to you. I'm like, man, I love this. I love this. How have you been, man?
I've been great. Busy, but it's been a wild ride, as you know. Like just just starting with a book about just the area that I grew up in and the strange stuff to being on a TV show, which was kind of not where I expected to be.
Well, and if we go back and think about that. Like when you were first on Fade to Black, and I think we did Coast to Coast.
That's right.
Pretty close on top of each other. And then all of a sudden, I mean, it was the right place at the right time, right? Poof. Now you're shot out of a cannon.
And it was, a lot of people along the way, helping, like yourself, like Nick Redfern, like so many others that were really kind of helping me push forward, give me that confidence to continue on, because this is a field, where you can definitely get burnt out. You see people, marriages fail because of this, becomes an obsession beyond a passion, and it's definitely had. I think I could not get away from it. It was almost I think a couple weeks before I got the call to do the Expedition Bigfoot that I was telling my wife I was going to be done and just kind of take a break and kind of shift gears a bit, and it kind of went this other direction.
Now, one of the this is what I find so fascinating about Bigfoot. The UFO community, which is amazing, right? It's just amazing. Mm-hmm. But the more that you look into the world of Bigfoot and Sasquatch, that community is much bigger than the UFO community. And that is the fascinating part to me, is everybody's got a Bigfoot story. Depending on what part of the country you are, this is their life. And I find that fascinating, that the two communities that are so closely related, and we think of UFOs all the time. We don't, and I mean it like this. Lots of alien invasion movies, right? We get that, you know what I mean? Hollywood. And you would think we don't get Bigfoot movies in the theater.
Right.
But the UFO, the Bigfoot community is much larger than the UFO community. It trips me out, Ronny.
Well, the crazy thing is they're both, these subcultures, and they intersect more than each other realizes, because a lot of these UFO sightings are happening in these hot spots where people are seeing cryptids. You have Stan Gordon, who was a big influence on me. John Keel is another, where you have these window areas where there's a ton of activity, and a lot of these reports, they're leaving out the strange stuff. If there's a UFO sighting and then they saw some strange creature that they wouldn't describe as, say, an alien, but more of a Bigfoot, they would leave that out, or anything that would be deemed paranormal gets stripped away from some of those reports or stories, because who's going to believe me on top of this UFO sighting? We're going to have this. But those elements are what needs to be woven into that fabric for us to see the big picture, because there is a pattern and there's a connection with all of this stuff.
Now, as you know, I got a chance to hang out with Sage. Great guy, big dude too as well.
He is.
I had no idea until you meet him in person. But anyway, what's it like to work with Sage? He's he looks intense. Is he as intense, to work with as his image is?
He is. He has a heart of gold. He's a big teddy bear, but he is this intense. Like I describe, I'm working with Rambo and the female Indiana Jones. You know, it's like, and he fits the bill in the sense that he lives. What you see is that's Russ, and he is definitely like all of us, a part of this team. We're trying to figure out what's going on. We've all had our own experiences, and we're even having more experiences doing the show, being out there. I think unexpectedly with both of them having these the paranormal side of things, which I'm really kind of pushing that side that, Bigfoot, there's something more interdimensional going on, the cloaking ability, all these different Native American stories. There's something going on beyond this thing just being flesh and blood because of some of these different researchers that have been 50, 60 years, and they, start off as an ape, and now they're looking at, hey, this is something more on the lines of alien or interdimensional based on what we're seeing happen when these things disappear or they seem to show up when UFOs are around.
Yeah, hey, Ronnie, I want you to turn off your video. I'm going to turn off my video, and let's see if we can kick up this bandwidth a little bit. So just go ahead and turn that off. And now this is where my thoughts have shifted on Bigfoot. And as you know, and many others, I've been on the fence about Bigfoot for a long time, but I've started this shift, and I've had a few things happen to me personally, but let's put that to the side for a second. One of the aspects of Bigfoot as we look at this, where we don't necessarily have a body, yet confirmed or that side of thing, that may be, Ronnie, that the interdimensional aspect of this, where Bigfoot can come and go at his leisure, that maybe this answers the no body problem.
100%. I think it's a question that I ask at conferences, and I try to get everyone's opinion. And it's amazing to me that people will say the interdimensional piece where Sasquatch could lie makes a lot more sense than this giant 9-foot ape running through the woods, and we haven't, classified this yet. But there's like over 86% of the species that are out there have yet to be classified. So there's something physical about these things. They're leaving footprints. That we're finding hair. There's video, and there's a lot of them out there, I think, that are going to be more, I guess, released, where people are going to feel a little bit more, I think, comfortable sharing some of these things. But there's stuff that goes with the Native American legends that these creatures, which they do call some of them, this lost tribe, that they are a forest people, and they have these abilities that they can have one foot in the physical realm and one in the spiritual realm, which, if you think of spirit as interdimensional, it makes a lot of sense how they can just kind of pop in and out. And I've heard firsthand accounts of people witnessing these things vanish before their eyes, starting to cloak and walk away, and watching it almost cover their body like water, and then them just disappear, or seeing almost the shadow-like appearance of something that is huge and is on two legs and it shouldn't be there. So I've had too many experiences now that it just keeps on solidifying this interdimensional, at least the cloaking piece too has been really crazy for me to experience that.
Now, as we're going to stay on this, okay? I'm not letting this part of the conversation go. Where do you stand on that? Have you evolved in your belief system as well? And are you moving closer to the interdimensional, as crazy as it sounds? Are you moving towards that aspect?
I came out pretty heavy leaning towards it and just kind of saying it seems to be that this is where this thing lies and where those answers are. And I think over the time just being in the field and having these more experiences, it's definitely become, I think, more that interdimensional. I would say, yeah, this thing, if whatever, for a lack of a better term, right, a different label of what these things are able to do. But there's also these strange stories where the Yakima Indian tribe up in Washington State, one of the stories that they've had for hundreds of years that they don't share, that they're just coming out and talking about, is that they had encountered this tall, hairy creature that had glowing red eyes and came and lived with the tribe for a period of time. And when any of the tribal members got sick, it would heal them. And as it got closer to its expiration date, it asked them to bring it to a certain location, which they did. And this being, which would be described as a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, passed, and a UFO came and took the body and took off.
Now,
this is a story from the Yakima tribe.
Okay, hold on. Pump the brakes
shared.
right there. Yeah, pump the brakes. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Expiration date.
So this thing knew when it was going to die, and it asked to be brought to a certain location for it to, to kind of go on. And the body was retrieved by UFOs. So we were talking earlier about why are there no bodies or bones? Well, maybe these things are really aliens. I mean, Chewbacca was based off of Bigfoot up in Northern California, where George Lucas grew up. So it's not too far-fetched. We have this vision that, aliens are gray aliens, but why couldn't they have hair and be 8 feet tall with large feet?
Now, what about your two partners on Expedition Bigfoot, Mariah, and of course, Sage? Do the three of you approach this differently? And I'm just going to say this, that I don't know if I could go up to Sage and start going interdimensional, and talk consciousness with Bigfoot. But is he okay with that? And Mariah, how do they look at this?
Both Maria and Russ are very open-minded. They know, that this is kind of where my focus has been, where my interest has been on this side of where Bigfoot kind of falls into that paranormal. And I think that initially they expected to kind of stay within their own lane, so to speak. But what we've all come to realize is now, Maria, this past expedition had an amazing, experience with the FLIR, picking up a heat signature that had these balls of light or orbs floating over it across the river from her. But yet when she looked at it with her naked eye and a flashlight, there was nothing there. So, she witnessed kind of this huge figure cloaking essentially in front of her. And I think as we keep on going through, we're having more of these strange experiences that it's almost undeniable for them now to when it comes to this stuff, that there is a strange side, that high strangeness that comes with Sasquatch, that they're all starting to experience firsthand.
Now, what's your scariest moment? Or do you have scary moments? And for me, the thought you're alone in the woods, right, with some friends, there's nobody there to save you. Mm-hmm. That adds an edge, right? That's going to get your adrenaline going. But have you had a moment of being scared?
Oh, I would say almost every time, because you're expecting something to happen. And oftentimes it seems like the first couple of nights when we get into a location area, we seem to stir things up and stuff will happen. And so there's a lot of times that we have things that happen to us, and if we don't really capture on video, it's really hard to kind of put it in. But, I had the sensation and I remember this as a kid having this happen to me, but laying in the tent and feeling the vibration of footprints walking through the camp, and almost being in a state where you couldn't even move because you're like, this sounds like a freaking elephant right now. And then, look out there, try to see what the heck is going on, and pop out there, and everyone kind of hears something go by the tent, and not be able to see something that is really large, making, a ton of noise, having rocks thrown at the tent. It gets crazy, and you realize, okay, at what point, if this thing decides to do something, you really don't have a shot. So I think that realization kicks in all the time. You have that in the back of your mind, especially we're in bear country, we're in areas where there's mountain lions. So
right,
there's definitely a lot of things to worry about.
Yeah. You may think it's Bigfoot, and you go out there and there's a grizzly bear.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna wish it was Bigfoot, right? I mean, it's really that simple.
Yeah, and my thing is, what we've experienced is when we're out there, certain times, with smells, bears, they're gonna take off. Apple orchards, they'll put human hair in balls by the apple trees so that, the deer will stay away from the trees. So scent is big. And when we're going in there, we're making a little bit of noise. We kind of drive out certain things. But what is curious is when you have Bigfoot that are in those areas that people have had sightings, recent sightings, there's been physical evidence. Those times you definitely know there's a sensation that you feel, that the air changes. It almost becomes electric. You can almost sense that something's watching you, that you're not alone in the forest, and you're not necessarily wanted where you are.
Now, okay, we're going to head towards a break, but I want to get this question out of the way. You guys just got season 3. That's a big deal. This is it's a show that is very successful, but a season 3 says a couple of things to you and the network and everybody else, that the show is good. That's cool, but that there's a demand for this, right? And that's got to make you feel pretty good.
It feels great, especially, doing something where we're trying to bring, this to the greater public and show them, these things are real. People are having experiences. And so to be a part of that, to see that start to grow, the awareness grow, and finding Bigfoot was amazing, because that really, I think, started this whole larger awareness around this subject. And yeah, there's an appetite for it, because one of the two biggest mysteries, right, where we talk about UFOs, and then Bigfoot is right there, and people want to know, are these things real? Is Patterson-Gimlin film real? And I think we're at that place where there's a paradigm shift happening, and Bigfoot is going to be right there with UFOs, in the sense of us finding a little bit more, or at least seeing a little bit more behind the curtain.
Yeah, and I think that there's much more to a conversation these days than the Patterson-Gimlin film. There's so much more research out there, and the film is great, right? And so much discussion sometimes centers around that. And I think that we've moved on beyond that, and we've got to figure out what's going on.
Agreed.
Yeah. And now I wanted to ask you this, and then we're going to continue when we come back. Back to the interdimensionality aspect of this. When you guys find a print, do you find it strange how you don't find a mile of prints, right? There's only right. There's nothing before or after, which would suggest something pretty crazy going on.
No doubt. Like the last expedition, there were 3 prints that we could get a good look at, see detail, and actually cast one of the best ones that we could capture all those details and evidence of dermal ridges. And you could see what looked like a print in the water, coming out of the water onto the shoreline. And yeah, you only seem sometimes, I get very skeptical when someone has just one footprint. But to see, a few of them where you can see a left and a right, you can see a consistent stride between the steps, then you're like, okay, we have something here. This isn't just a rock that got kicked over and has the shape of a foot indentation in the ground. There's something else going on here, something bipedal that has walked through. But yeah, there's and then there's other big trackways that you have to question those as well. But a lot of these are in places where you're really hoping someone's going to walk over here to find these things if you are looking to fake prints or things like that. So I think there's something to it where they seem to end as if something took them up into the air, or they went up into the trees, which is another theory that's gaining more ground.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. Oh, man, you're crushing my interdimensionality ghost Bigfoot.
I have plenty to bring that back.
But yeah, but that would make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, it does. But then you would think something that large, we should be hearing it moving through the trees. There should be more evidence of that. But people talk about just this ability to see this thing just kind of vanish or disappear or to move. I witnessed with three other people something move that was at least 7.5, 8 feet tall through the trees without making a sound, and it just defies explanation, because there should have been something making footfall across, and we didn't hear that at all. But it was almost like this shadow figure in a way, and that again, it goes into that interdimensional piece where they seem to be able to phase in and phase out, for lack of a better term.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Ronny Le Blanc. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Ronny Le Blanc is here. I'm so excited. It's good to hear your voice, Ronny.
You
so
too, brother.
Excited about this Expedition Bigfoot. Lots to cover tonight. Everybody stay right there. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. More with Ronny after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lecture courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network. KGRADB.com.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Ronny Le Blanc is here of Expedition Bigfoot. I can't believe I have somebody on the show from Expedition Bigfoot. I just can't believe it, Ron. I'm beside myself, Ronny. Beside myself. I'm talking to a star. Hey, I want to, I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just excited, and we've been friends for a long time, and to see what is happening with you and Expedition Bigfoot is great stuff for our family. It's really cool. So, but
thanks, Jimmy.
If we go back to Monsterland and those days versus the way you approach Bigfoot today, how has that changed?
You know, it's definitely changed in the sense that more and more, you know, it's amazing that there's so many different experiences with these little pockets of towns, these little ecosystems that people will not share these stories. And that still, I think, hasn't really changed that much. I think we're starting to see more of that happen. But I think what I've seen is the interest has grown definitely with the younger generation seeing more interest in the paranormal and that they're questioning what is going on, because I think it kind of falls right into that, where are we going when we die? Where do we come from? Those major questions. So I think it's progressing where it feels like this whole UFO thing is a more of a spiritual thing than anything else. The correlation, the connection between the two, I think, is very, very similar. And I never had that way of looking at it before. I was very nuts and bolts. And that goes with Bigfoot. Where's the body, right? And it's the same thing with UFOs. It's a nuts and bolts craft, and there's a dude on it, steering the craft, and he flew here for 10,000 light years. Where that has evolved with me, as strange as that may sound, but then again, I think it may be a combination of both, where we fall in the middle. With the gear that you guys take out, to investigate, are you using the gear for a physical contact, or are you able to go into the metaphysical, right, and look for something more spiritual? Yeah, I mean, we're definitely looking for something where we can show science that these things exist. So we're trying to use instrumentation that's going to show us, electromagnetic signal that's specific to a primate that we had picked up last season in Kentucky, and that helped us locate this huge tree structure, which we then found had primate DNA and thousands of hits that were picked up by UCLA's lab. So it's amazing where the tech is there to help us with the physical side, but it's also helping to identify kind of that interdimensional piece too, because where we have the situation with the FLIRs where we're picking up heat signatures, but then not able to see anything with our naked eyes, it's helping to kind of, tell the story that there's something else going on here than just a physical being. There's some other elements that we just don't understand, at this point in time. But I think it's becoming more and more clear that there's, I think, more questions than answers when it comes to Bigfoot.
Now, what do we do? I used to crack a lot of jokes and be a little bit cavalier about Bigfoot shows, where I would say, over and over again, I probably said it to you, I know the ending of this show, right?
Right.
I know the ending of this show. That is something that you have to combat too as well, and of course the network. Is there going to be a day where we have like the crazy shot?
I do think we're getting really close. I'm biting my tongue right now because we did have something incredible happen to us recently, so I'm excited to see that come out. But I think, there's more and more evidence stacking up, and I think it's just a matter of time. I think we're in the best position, the Expedition Bigfoot team, to really bring that home, because I know that's why I'm doing this, is to help push this forward, because I feel it's been in the dark way too long, and I think too many people need to be vindicated for their experiences, especially just on a personal level. I want to know what the heck is going on.
Okay, now, Ronnie, I'm not going to let this go. Okay, I'm not going to let this go. I know that you just finished season 3. You've been shooting, and you just alluded to something incredible. Okay, so this is something that we will see in the upcoming season 3, and I respect the network, and I respect all of that, okay? But I'm going to get out of you what I can, okay? So,
I know you're going to try.
I'm going to try. What happened?
I'll just say that the evidence that we may or may have not have gotten kind of helps.
On camera?
On camera.
Okay, here we go.
Kind of helps, the cloaking argument, that whole theory. I think it's going to help it in a positive way when people see what we captured.
Have you seen what you've captured?
I've seen it physically in an experience, but I have not seen
the footage.
Okay. But I'm told that we have something pretty stellar. Again, we'll see what happens, and I'm probably going to get killed for doing this, but I'm excited to see what that, because that experience was pretty amazing. So I just hope it delivers on what we're able to show.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not going to piss Sage off. He's listening right now, and you're not going to get the text. Okay, but this is exciting. And then there's the other side of it. I know that you get people sending you videos. You see the videos.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff out there. How do we? It's the $1 million question. How do we use discernment into what is BS? What is some dude in a suit,
sure,
running around, and what may be real?
It's definitely the witness for sure, but there's usually some interesting facets that they may not even be aware of that are either apparent or. And it has to do with just strange things like even experiencing orbs or shadow people, things that someone would say, oh, it sounds like a poltergeist,
right.
But they'll have these strange experiences and they capture something. And some of these, I really go from my gut because I want to believe that every video is Bigfoot. But I know that's not the case. I know people are out there thinking that they're going to make money off of this. And so I've become more of a skeptic when it comes to what I'm seeing and what I'm watching. I definitely kind of start there first, where I think before I'd be, okay, I'm keep an open mind and see. Now it's really seeing, I think, as this becomes a bigger subject where people are more interested in, we're going to see more of that being delivered on social media and trying to fool people or shows. And you can see the good stuff and you can tell which is genuine, and it's starting to get tough.
It is starting to get tough. It's starting to get tough. I wanted to I would normally do this, but it was about a month ago. This video started to make the rounds on the internet, and it was of like a mom Bigfoot with a baby walking across the river. Did you see that? Did you see that video?
I did, and I didn't like right away. I didn't like the coloring and then the editing of, we see it halfway in the river and then it edits before it gets out of the river. So right away I was kind of I'm not buying this. And I think it came out that it was a hunter carrying a deer or a game or something along those lines.
Oh, you're killing me.
Yeah.
I wanted that video to be real. And let me tell you.
Me too. Every time. I'm like, come on.
The reason why I wanted it to be real was this wasn't some big, in the trees and the guy's chasing it or he's being. No, it wasn't that. It was a mom and a baby Bigfoot, right? And I thought, man, how cool is this? Is original, right? And this is different than other things that I've seen in the past, and maybe this one is legit. I didn't dig the jumping, right? The back and forth. I wanted to see the complete video. And see it correct, and that was where I kind of backed up and thought I've got to leave this to the experts. But you're saying that it was revealed that it was a hunter with a deer?
Something along those lines, that it was a hunter kind of crossing the river. That's what I initially had heard, and definitely from the way it looked, the coloring, it looked off to me. I didn't like it. I'm sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to ask. And how many videos come across your email?
I mean, for Paranormal Caught on camera, I definitely have a lot that we go through. The team will go through not only for UFO videos, but Bigfoot and paranormal, ghost stuff, which is some of that is incredible. What's happening to people in their homes, in their bedrooms, some scary stuff. It's starting to pick up, especially when the shows are running. I'll get emails, check out this video, here's a picture. And if there's good stuff, I definitely send it up the chain to the producers, and different stories and witnesses and things like that have kind of come from that.
Now, have you had a sighting yourself?
I've had several, and UFOs as well as, Bigfoot experiences. And just recently, you were talking about UFOs and the whole nuts and bolts piece and getting more on the interdimensional side. And we just recently moved closer into Monsterland a few months ago, and which is a part of Leominster out here in Massachusetts. But our previous house that we're at for 18 years, we were in the garage, my wife and I talking, and she had something. I mentioned, we're going to be moving in a month. I was like, we're right next to a trail. We have a lot of woods in our backyard. We bought a park, so there's been a lot of activity. A Bigfoot was seen running across the road, just steps away from my house years back. So it's a pretty crazy area. And I just said to her, we're going to see some crazy stuff when we move to our new place. And within 30 seconds or something, she had something touch her leg that she couldn't see. And she was like, what the heck? And, a minute later, something touched her leg again, and she got freaked out. She's like, something's touching me, but I can't see anything. And then it was a third time, in the point where she got up and she's like, I'm getting out of here. This is freaking me out. She's like, I get the sense of like a fairy or something, because she felt like this feather or some light touch. And I said, sure it's not a bug, and she's like, there was nothing there. So we get out, we walk out of the garage, and we're walking to the house, and I look up above the roof of the house, and there is a red UFO chasing after a green UFO. And the best way I can describe this, the lights were alive, like they were beings of some sort, is what it looked like. It looked like two dolphins chasing each other in the ocean. I've never seen anything move the way it did, and was blown away that my wife fumbled to get her phone out, and we watched this red one chasing the green one over the house move. And every time these sightings have happened, there always seems to be another one following in that same trajectory, coming from the same direction. So we started to position, waiting to see what was going to show up. And sure enough, this other one comes flying through, spinning around, green light, growing bright and completely silent, followed the other two. And then a third one was coming, and my wife started filming it on her cell phone. And we got this thing moving and flying right over us, over the trees. And you can see me hear me talking to this thing like it's a puppy. And we have had these experiences, and she's had a lot of crazy UFO experiences ever since she was a kid. And it seems that once we got together, a lot of those encounters and different happenings started to increase.
With I was planning on doing this later, but let's stay here now. Why? I mean, you must have a theory as to why there is a UFO sighting and then a Bigfoot sighting at the same place, same time, or there's a Bigfoot sighting and then there's a UFO sighting. What's your theory behind that?
Well, my thinking is, especially around here in this area where people are seeing UFOs and Bigfoots and balls of light and things changing into balls of light and changing back, there seems to be either what would be deemed as a portal or some kind of opening where these things are coming in and out of, because it seems to happen around the same time frames. It seems to happen with certain people, have this ability to incite it to happen, whether it's their intention. I've just seen people that have gone out into the woods with a stronger intention to have an experience, and they do, and others that don't believe in this stuff will still have an experience that they can't explain, and it frustrates the hell out of them because they are grounded in science, or they're just a firm believer, or they're religious that this has to be demonic. It can't be anything else but evil. And I think that's been the big piece is kind of, there's good people, there's bad people, and I'm sure there's bad aliens and good aliens. But I think getting away from that, I think that narrative that they are all evil, I think it doesn't fit the stories. It doesn't fit the experiences that people have had with these beings, these creatures. They all seem to have communication that's telepathic, that there seems to be higher consciousness, talking about, evolving of the spirit, the soul, and all this. And so there's amazing stories, and there's other ones that are scary and frightening, where people are having these experiences in the middle of the woods with something they think is more of a monster than anything else.
So what is the suggestion here? Planet Bigfoot, right? A planet with Bigfoot, right? As the race, the species.
I do think that they are, there's so much when it comes to the woods and the forest that people have no idea how expansive and how easy it is for something big to hide out there. However, people are seeing these things do strange things, being connected with these balls of light, which is another association which you would can label a UFO. But I think we're getting close to finding out what's kind of going on. But there definitely seems to be these amazing hiding spots for not only Bigfoot, but the oceans for UFOs. They're coming in and out of what possibly are bases, and people are also hearing strange sounds coming from under the earth in these different areas in the forest. So I know there's definitely a heavy military presence close by here. That's associated with the intelligence apparatus with Fort Devens. So there's some curious stuff that's going on. I think we're going to find more about in the next few years.
Well, I've always wanted to see like a UFO in the daytime, right? You kind of manifest it,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And it happened. It's happened a couple of times now. And I want to have the incredible plasma light at night. I wanted to have the orb at night. All of that has happened. And I expect, right? I'm serious too. I expect one day I'm going to be driving in the dark. I'm going to be in the mountains, and Bigfoot's going to run across the street in front of me. I expect this to happen, Ronnie. Do you think you will have that one-on-one encounter one day?
I hope to, and I do. I have a friend, and I write about him in my second book, where he was having these strange balls of light, which he deemed were drones flying in and around his house. He felt like somebody was looking in his window of his home, called the police. And they came out, and they actually experienced one of these things flying over them, the size of a door, completely silent, shaped like a diamond, and flew over the roof. And the police officer was like, that's not a drone. I don't know what the heck that is, but that is not a drone. And so he was having all these experiences, and I told him, I want you to try something. Go out there and send out your intention, send out, with your mind that you want to see, who's connected with these lights, you want to see who's responsible with this. And so he did this over a course of like a week and a half. And one morning, early in the morning, 4 a.m, couldn't sleep. And he'd normally get up early for work anyways, but decided to go out. And this was in the summertime, and was setting up the sprinkler in the yard, and had the sense that something was looking at him, that something was watching him. And he looked up towards the front of the house, and by a telephone pole, a Bigfoot was peeking out from behind the telephone pole, and they made eye contact. He just dropped the sprinkler, couldn't believe what he was looking at. And this thing took 2 steps and, ran across the road, jumped over a stone wall, and you could hear it, crashing through the woods, and then stop. And he knew that this thing had now turned and was staring at him again. And he booked it into the house, terrified what the heck this was. And unbeknownst to me, he had called me like right after that. I was still sleeping, to tell me what he had just seen based off these like mental experiments that I told him to do, to send out. And I had posted something on Instagram, which was the Pennsylvania photo, where a lot of people deem this looks like a black bear, but it looks like a Bigfoot kind of standing up, and you see the back, and it's almost hunched back.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And
yes.
yeah, and so his description to me was it looked like a hunchback chimpanzee that ran across on 2 legs. We made eye contact. It was hiding behind the telephone pole. It was watching me and showed up. And when he saw that photo, he said, that's what it looked like. Like it was an amazing experience. But he freaked out, because he goes, are you telling me that these are connected to these lights or these UFOs? And I'm like, they seem to be, because that's what showed up. I don't believe in coincidences, and that's a big one.
So your friend gets the sighting and you don't.
Right. But
that's great.
I know that he wishes he never did. because and he's in an area where it is interesting, where a lot of the wildlife and deer are kind of coming through, and it's a lot of land and hunting area, and a lot of different sightings in that area too. And again, someone he's a hunter and outdoorsman, never had an experience, never believed in it. And then until you have that first-hand personal experience, then he's a changed man.
That's
His
a game
worldview
changer.
is now flipped.
Yep, that's a game changer. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Ronny Le Blanc of Expedition Bigfoot. Yeah, we already did it. Bigfoot and UFOs. More when we come back after this short break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. This is Jimmy Church, and I invite you to attend the 20th Annual Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo live and in person this September 17th, 18th, and 19th at the LAX Airport Hilton. Connect with exhibitors, community, thought leaders, and friends as we begin to recreate the world. You can also watch the expo from the comfort of your own home. Live stream from the main stage in Los Angeles and from the main stage in London. Truly a global simulcast event broadcast around the world. Live stream and in-person Expo tickets are available now. I'll be your host all weekend long from Los Angeles. And on Friday, it's my Ancient Secrets and Earth Mysteries themed segment with James Keenan, Caroline Corey, and William Henry. And on Saturday, Daniel Sheen and I sit down for a one-on-one interview live. We have an amazing lineup of 25 speakers, including Bashar, Gail Thackeray, Kimberly Meredith, Whitley Strieber, Stephen Bassett, Daniel Brinkley, and Lisa Garr. Please visit ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and info. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com and use that promo code Jimmy for a special discount. Badernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Ronny Le Blanc is here of Expedition Bigfoot. More with Ronny in just a second. Got to talk to you about Virtual Shield. VirtualShield.com, a VPN that you need. You've got to have your own VPN. And this weekend, I'm doing a huge project. All of it involves Virtual Shield VPN. That's right. I got to run in secret. I got to run in private. My location cannot be revealed. That's why I use Virtual Shield. Nobody knows what I'm doing. And this is the world that we live in today, certainly with a show like this. That's right. VirtualShield.com. It's all easy to do. Click on the link in the video description box below. You can also type in VirtualShield.com/fade to black. You can head over to the website and click on the banners over there. All of it will take you to Virtual Shield, where you will get Virtual Shield VPN for 50% off today. Get Virtual Shield. You get encrypted servers. You've got a strict no-log policy. Everything that you do is just for you to know. VirtualShield.com. Our guest tonight, Ronny Le Blanc. And now, Ronny, I wanted to talk to you about one of the things that I bring up with a lot of Bigfoot researchers, which is DNA.
And now you have access, because of Expedition Bigfoot, to resources that you haven't had in the past. And what do you do with the trace evidence that you pick up?
Yeah, so the great thing is having those capabilities now where we can take eDNA samples, whether from, with the tree structure, for example, we took it from the soil below to find out, no one's seen a Bigfoot constructing a tree structure, but if you're finding thousands of hits of DNA coming from that, the probability is that's what put this together. And so having that is amazing, but we have to use it selectively because it does get expensive to do those tests. But we're trying to use them whenever we can. We have, 3D scanners for footprints and things like that. But the DNA piece, that's, definitely what Maria is looking to bring to the scientific community, showing the physical evidence, that scientific evidence that is sorely needed for the greater public to accept this.
Well, and what have you found? What are the DNA results? What are they telling you?
Well, what was interesting was from the tree structure in Kentucky that they had thousands of hits of some sort of chimpanzee, unclassified primate that should not be in Kentucky. And so we're definitely dealing with something that has not been classified, which is really exciting. And I think this is just going to be the tip of the iceberg in regards to what we're going to be able to glean from all this.
Yeah, was that a hair sample?
No, so we took some eDNA from the soil, took a soil sample from below this tree structure. And we've had hair samples where Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum has looked at them, and they're missing a medulla, that center that would be found in human hair. So this is definitely some interesting findings. But the eDNA piece, I think, is that stronger identifier, especially when we're using, UCLA, their lab is one of the top labs in the world.
Now, why would you take a soil sample? What was there that, made you take a soil sample?
So we came across this giant tree structure in Kentucky on this shelf in a position that was somewhat hidden and had a great vantage point. And to me, it almost looked like a nursery, like a playpen of sorts. And it just stood out because it was constructed. You could see it was woven together. And it was just one of those things that this is something that a lot of researchers believe that Bigfoot is using as markers, whether it's to mark their property or signify there's water, or again, some kind of structure to keep a younger one, busy. The idea was to go, okay, look, let's take samples where we think there's that high probability that we're going to show some evidence of what animal life, and it will tell us, everything that has kind of been in that area. And there's going to be human as well, which came up. And then, different animals will be pulled from that eDNA test that we'll have done.
Is that from urine?
Yes. So it could be from urine, from, skin, hair. So anything that's kind of fallen by the wayside from a creature, anything that's kind of been in that particular area will be picked up.
Now, I'm going to go back to tree structures for a second, and this is brought up quite often. And there is what you're describing, and then the cross. You know what I mean? The what's the word I want to use? Triangle shaped.
It looks like an X sometimes.
Right, looks like an X.
Stop sign almost.
Yes. What does that tell you?
To me, what I've always found interesting is, one, you have to obviously say, okay, Could a human do this? Yes. Why would they do this? I've found some of these way off trail, but we've also found them near trails where game is going to use those same paths of least resistance. They're going to use the hiking trails. They're going to use old logging roads. They're going to use power lines to traverse and get to point A to point B. So we found them in strange places where it was almost blocking the path, where you would have to take a left or go take a right and actually direct you towards another area. And we've always found it very interesting that they were near significant spots where there's a lot of activity, and these are popping up. And after a while, everything looks kind of out of place in the forest. But after you start spending time, you start seeing things that definitely look to be put together by something else. That it wasn't just tree fall. There seems to be some strange placement of these things in an order and in a very similar structure to other locations around the country, which I find fascinating. So it seems to be some kind of language in a way, and it seems to be adopted by all different types of Bigfoot or Sasquatch in different areas across the country, using the same type of tree structures and setups.
Now, do you think that this is for Bigfoot putting up a sign for other big feet? Right? This is our territory?
Yeah, that's my guess. That's what it seems like, because we wouldn't necessarily pick up on this.
Right.
However, certain Native American tribes, that they'll go to a particular fishing spot, and if they see any indication that Sasquatch has beaten them to that fishing spot, they will leave out of respect because they got there first. And what they have not alluded to are what are those signs, and my guess is something along those lines, where they could be setting up a simple tree structure or just things that look really out of place in areas where they shouldn't be, and deep in the woods where no one else is really around.
And I've always pictured it. I don't want to ask a leading question, but there isn't another way to do this. I've always kind of pictured it maybe a tribe, right? A Bigfoot tribe family, if you will, is showing another, it's like a street sign showing another Bigfoot tribe. This is our area. You can do what you want, but this, don't go beyond this point. This is our space.
Agreed. And that's what it seems to be. We've now learned that they seem to be moving in pods, in families 3 to 5. We're seeing, various size footprints, but we're also seeing, and this has been documented from various researchers. I think one of them was Dr. Matthew Johnson, who talked about seeing a boulder, a moss-covered boulder in the center of this area, and different distinctive footprints, presumably big footprints, on either side of this rock, different sizes and shapes, almost as if this was a boundary line that they could not cross, so that other family was not allowed over here. This is our hunting area. So that's my guess, that these are some kind of property markers or an indicator that if they are migrating, maybe they're pointing where there's food. There's definitely some correspondence and connection to the salmon runs and the berries in the Pacific Northwest, that they are following and moving where the food is plentiful in those different seasons in that time period. And some of them, like out here, they seem to be here year round. They don't leave because we're finding tracks. People are having sightings in the middle of the winter, so they're not all of them seem to be migrating, but that seems to be one of the theories, that they're moving around. The cripple foot was seen, a distinctive footprint that was cast up in Oregon. A week later was found 200 miles south in Northern California. So they're able to traverse long distances, as you can imagine.
Now, you brought up Matthew Johnson. I've got his book here, and if we can, I want to discuss one aspect of the book, which you have to let your mind go as the reader a little bit in acceptance of something pretty extraordinary and phenomenal, and that is the possibility of Bigfoot maybe leaving their planet that was dying, and they populate Earth here, and not necessarily as Bigfoot all the time, that they walk as spirits and once in a while reveal themselves as Bigfoot, but for the most part they're spirit beings. Now that's going a little bit out there, but everything is on the table, right? As far as the theory goes.
Oh yeah, and I would say that the experiences that people have had would fall into that spirit realm, and the experiences that I've had have definitely leaned more towards that. Where you kind of go, okay, this seems to be almost ghost-like in a way. And maybe, whether we're seeing that indication of this other dimension or whatever this may be, but they definitely seem to have that ability to almost float through the forest and move in such a way that you don't hear a sound. And other times they're making sounds like with Ron Moorhead up in Northern California, where
right.
It sounds like the whole forest is going crazy, and they wake up and there's nothing wrong. There's no trees on the ground, but it sounded like a hurricane came through. So there's some abilities that they have for sure, and it seems to be in that be able to move, either materialize and shapeshift into this physical form, and then the ability to just vanish or cloak.
Now, and okay, let's stay right here for a second.
Yeah.
Which is telepathic communication.
Yeah.
Now, how far have you looked into that?
Pretty far, and what's interesting is that someone respected like Les Stroud has experienced this mind speak, this telepathy. I believe he was in Alaska, and he got a voice in his head that said, if you want to see us, we're right over this hill. We'll be the next night or wherever it was. And it was something that he didn't share with anybody for a long time. I think he talked about it with Joe Rogan. And it's interesting where people will have these experiences where you kind of go, okay, how is this thing talking to me in my mind? And if it is, how could this be an animal? This has to be some either evolved ancient human or some kind of alien or interdimensional being, or some kind of mix of spirit in both. So people are having these experiences that, and it's kudos to Les for sharing that, because more and more people have those conversations or these connections, and it seems to be the ones that are doing what's called gifting, or they're really opening their heart in a way, and it becomes, like I said earlier, like this spiritual kind of movement more than anything else. It seems to be this evolution of our species in a way for understanding how all this works.
Now, how do you is that in a way taking things too far? Right? Is it taking things too far where you're trying to get the scientific community involved? You're trying to get to the physical aspect of this, and then you throw this into the game, right? Is it taking things too far?
It is, because I think, how can we prove all of this? How can you prove this? And I think it's a matter of being able to capture stuff on film, on video, and really undeniable evidence that says, at least points to that picture, that there's something else happening here that our normal view of science and physics doesn't work. And that's why we can't solve this. We have to look at it from a different angle or different perception to understand how this works. And I think it's the same when it comes to UFOs as it does with Bigfoot. They kind of fall in that same realm.
Duke Sullivan, who is great, right? Great. And I've been on his show and he's been over here. He told me one of the most remarkable stories and with Glag and being he had, I don't want to get all involved in this story, but in the short version, he had somebody that was a psychic that could communicate telepathically, that Glag had reached out and said, hey, I'm going to be at this spot and at such and such a time on this date, and I want to meet all of you guys there. And so they went and they get together. I don't want to talk about the location or anything, but the point is Glag showed up, and Glag showed up with his wife. I think he had a couple of kids with him. They hung out in the ridge line. But the point to all of this, it's such a, it tugs at your heartstrings, right? It is such a great story. And there had been years that were involved in this, but I listened to it, and I know that Duke is telling me his experience as it went down.
Right. And it's you hear these stories and it's like, this sounds like science fiction. And it almost seems to be, it doesn't seem to be real, and every time I hear these stories from people firsthand, and I've worked with 2 different psychic mediums, and both of them have been accurate on what they experience in Ohio and Salt Fork. Had experience where she was the psychic medium. Dr. Foster was able to see, we couldn't physically see it, but she could see this Bigfoot in front of us in the tree line. And at that same time, get ready, this thing's going to move from right to left, and watch the trees. And sure enough, we saw this thing move like a shadow figure. And I think that they're in tune to these beings, and these beings are aware of who has this capability to see or have these powers. And I think that we all have this capacity to remote view, to tap into that higher consciousness. And I think that's what these beings are using to communicate with us when it comes to telepathy and all that. And I think we're getting there. I think we're realizing that, we still don't know what the hell dark matter is.
Right.
There's so much that we're learning, still.
Are you guys, or have you brought a psychic onto Expedition Bigfoot, or are you planning on doing that in the future?
We have not, but that's something I would love to implement. I would love to bring someone like that into the fray, to just have another set of eyes, another perception to kind of bring in, at least as even an attractant to bring something in to where we are.
Is Sage cool with that? I mean, bringing in a psychic.
I think he's open-minded when it comes to that stuff. But again, he's one, until he experiences it in front of his own eyes, he's going to kind of stand firm until he has that experience.
I mean, I just picture him. This is Sage in my mind. Special forces, Harley riding, tattooed dude out trying to figure out Bigfoot. I don't know about the psychic medium side. Am I far off of that perception?
He grew up elk hunting. He definitely knows the woods, and he's a badass. And he's, I think, one of those guys that's gonna get what he wants, and I think he's gonna have that that face-to-face encounter that I think we all want to experience on this, and for everyone to see, firsthand would be kind of the ultimate goal.
Now, what about, and we're going to take a break in a second, but what about the signals, the sounds, hitting on trees and Bigfoot researchers out there that do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have been one that, we've utilized it before. We've gotten responses, but we don't know, just like the tree structures, there definitely seem to be a tool of communication with Bigfoot, but we don't exactly know what they're saying. And to me, I get that feeling that it's almost like a way of communicating when there's intruders around, letting the other tribes or pods or groups know that there's humans around. It seems to be a way for them to communicate that, because then you'll hear, screams and responses to that in the middle of the night. People will be like, it was no coyote. This thing sounded unlike anything I've ever heard, and getting a response. And I've had different stories where people have heard them communicating that way vocally. But when it comes to tree knocks and things like that, it seems to almost be a maneuver to get away from prying eyes from humans. They always seems to be another direction when that happens.
Now, is it just a bad idea, if you don't know what you're doing, to let Bigfoot know where you're hanging out in the middle of the night?
I mean, I think that they know where you are. We think that we're so stealthy and quiet, and you're really our scent. They're smelling us before we get in there, just like all the other animals. And I think that whether they are more human-like than animal, I tend to think that they are more human, in the sense that they are really smart, but they're definitely curious when it comes to kids. And hunters have had experiences where they've gotten flushed out of areas. So, it's really out there what these things are. But I think they, people have seen them wearing what looks like hides, like clothing, wearing bear scalps and different things to look like other animals. So it's pretty interesting.
That's a bad idea. And you know what? What cracks me up? And I love these Bigfoot shows. I can't get enough of them, right? But when they're out in the woods, you pick the show, right? It doesn't matter, and you hear this shh. And I'm like, what are you shushing for? Bigfoot has known where you are for the last 2 days, right? And it cracks me up. There's no reason to be quiet. Talk all you want. You're not scaring them away, and you're not letting them know where you know what I mean? They are completely aware, aren't they?
For sure. And we don't know, do they have the ability to see, do they have night vision? People have talked about their eyes glowing, almost having this bioluminescence to it. And, they seem to be more nocturnal. Definitely people have daylight sightings and experiences, but they definitely seem to be way more active at night.
Like I said, shh. Oh, come on, right? Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Ronny Le Blanc of Expedition Bigfoot. It's about time he's back on the show. Ronny, don't make me go through your agent again, okay? God. All right. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit UnitedGoldGroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Ronny Le Blanc. Ronny Le Blanc. He's officially a rock star. And Expedition Bigfoot. And it's one of my favorite subjects these days is to talk about Bigfoot. And the reason why I say that, Ronny, is I don't know a whole lot. Right? I don't. And I just learn. And I'm doing nothing but learning. But I want to say this. I've been spending a lot of time the last couple of years, and certainly this year too as well, a lot of time between Northern California and the Canadian border. And one of the things, and I kid you not, Ronny, I ran out of wiper fluid in my Jeep. Okay? Ran out of wiper fluid. Got to get some wiper fluid. Pull into an auto parts store.
an auto parts store in the middle of nowhere. Go in and I need wiper fluid. It's over there. Okay, I go and I grab it and I come back. There's a rack of T-shirts in this auto parts store. All Bigfoot.
All Bigfoot.
All Bigfoot T-shirts, man. It's mind blowing.
It's all part of their, they grew up hearing the stories, and a lot of people have had experiences. It's almost like somebody knows someone that had a sighting or had an experience or lives in an area where they frequent, and it's way more accepted in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California than anywhere else. And now we're, over the past 10 years, 15, 20 years, people are starting to realize that they are not just in the Pacific Northwest, but they're in Ohio, they're in Michigan and Florida and New Hampshire and Maine. They're all over the place. So there's potential that there could be a bunch of different types of Bigfoot species, or if they are something else. People are having different types of sightings at different sizes, and we have what's called puckwudgies, which are almost like these smaller Ewok type size.
Without permission, say who this was, but a pretty famous UFO guy. Okay, and he's down, of all places, he's in Galveston, Texas, and he goes to Galveston with his son and daughter. There was a hurricane that had come through, and they're in this one section. Anyway, they're on this road out in, it's almost like marshes, but there's no trees, right? It's all like wide open oil field type area, but there's this long road, and they see somebody come out of nowhere, out of the marshland, and start walking in front of them about, and I'm going to say, if I was going to make a guess, quarter mile. And his daughter was filming on her cell phone and happened to catch, they were just walking on this road and this access road, but she happens to catch this thing, this person, come out of the marsh, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting." So she's just filming it as they're walking, and she stays on him. They try to catch him, and they're walking fast, and you can tell they're like starting to get out of breath, but they don't catch up to it. Stays in front, and the video is probably 5 minutes long. And so anyway, there's a section they enlarge the video, and this is black. Black from head to toe, no feet, no white tennis shoes on, right? Black feet, black body. Dude is hoofing it, and not running, but just taking big strides. They are starting to jog, okay, trying to catch up to this, and they don't. Wow. Anyway, there's one shot in this film, in this video, where this dude looks over his shoulder at them, and it's a black face. Black. Oh, wow. Just black. And then he heads left into the marsh. So they catch up to where the last part where they were thinking he was gone. It's a 5-minute video. I can contact. I think you should see it.
I would love to see it, because that just sounds like so many different, this casualness that they seem to have. They're not running away from us. They're almost like, you have no chance. And there's been other experiences where people have watched them run off at almost supersonic speeds, that it scared them to, like this, there's no chance I'm going to be able to, handle this thing if it decides to turn around and come at me.
And this is the crazy part. The reason why I brought this up, it's Galveston, right?
Right.
It's Galveston. It's not in Maine, right? It's not in the Pacific Northwest. It's not in Canada. It's Galveston, Texas. And there were no trees. It's a pretty remarkable video. Now, is it Bigfoot? I don't know. I'm just saying that whatever it is not wearing clothes. There's nothing, feet or hands are black. The back of the head is black. And then he just turns around and looks behind him, and the face is black. And again, this is a quarter mile away. So this, in the video, this thing is probably 1/8 of an inch tall. You can just see it just walk. But when you enlarge it, that's when you see, and it's pixelated. It's a cell phone video from 5 years ago, but it's pretty remarkable. And it's Galveston. There's no trees, and it's wide open, and it's pretty strange. It's Galveston.
So with that being said, you think of them being, say, interdimensional. If we go down that theory, then they don't need trees. They don't need forests. They can pop into your house if they wanted to. And, researchers have experienced just strange things with what they would deem shadow people being in the house after having a Bigfoot encounter or experience, almost as if, like a spirit, attaching themselves to these people and being in their house.
Yeah, they
or
get
having,
to that,
strange footprints around the house and going outside the house with no explanation.
And
What the
nothing
heck
there.
happened?
Right. And when they arrive at that part of the road, and they're look, let's just say it's just a human, just a dude. Well, where did the dude go? Right? Because they're looking with the cell phone, and it's just wide open grassland, and there's nothing there. It's
And why wouldn't this person acknowledge the other people going after him?
Are you following me?
Attention?
Yes. And none of that. It's a trippy video. It's a trippy video. I'll see if I can get some permission.
Yeah, see if you can get permission for me to see that. I would love that.
It's crazy. Nothing definitive. It's just as I'm explaining it to you now. This thing walks onto the road, and they follow it for 5 minutes, and then he continues and leaves the road. And by the time they catch up to that spot in the road, they're looking around, and there's nobody there. And I'm just saying, when he looks over his shoulder, it's a black face.
Wow.
It's wild. It's a shadow figure, though. You know what I mean? There's nothing.
That's the strange thing is, we've also had reports of seeing, when we're in Salt Fork, something chased Jeff Byers, a friend of ours, out of the woods, and he was just hysterically laughing, running down this little road from the woods. And when we all looked back, we started running because we were like, what is going on? And when I had looked back, there was a figure, all black, bent down in a way on all fours to almost look like an animal, but it was almost like a person doing this. And the next night, Jeff and Dr. Foster experienced this same being in that same area, but it had grown. They watched it enlarge itself from 6 feet to like 9 feet, which seemed to be impossible, but it acted like a spirit, like a shadow person.
Is there, I just brought up Galveston. You brought up Kentucky. Is there, and we always think of the Pacific Northwest, and of course, Patterson-Gimlin, once again, always comes into play. But is there a hot spot? If you were going to go squatching, or you were going to give a friend advice, where would you tell them to go?
For me, where I've had just crazy experiences is Ohio, but Pennsylvania seems to be a big hotbed for activity, and a lot of these communities are closed-lipped on what's happened. But that area has definitely started to spike up in regards to some reports that get out, but they're having those same UFO sightings, orbs in some of these same different hot spots that are close to suburbia. So people are having experiences, right in their backyards, basically.
Now, why do you think the Pacific Northwest, obviously heavy forest, right? For thousands of square miles. There's lots of places to hide. Most of it no humans have ever been in, right?
Very true.
So,
Yep.
Is it that Bigfoot is, I almost said one foot in front of us? Are they one step in front of it? Or they don't want to be found? They're not going to be found, and they know where we are. They can hear us from great distances, and they're always going to migrate away from us. That they just don't want to be found.
Yeah, absolutely. They seem to be these places that they're definitely close to water, rivers. They're staying close to food sources, but there's been nests, huge nests, like a big bird nest being found all along these ridge lines near rivers, and they seem to be using them again, almost like they come back to these spots, but they're made from huckleberries, branches, and they seem to be in these great vantage points. So even if we could get to a certain area, they can hear us, see us way before we get to even where they're at.
Are you describing what I've seen in photographs, that it looks like an 8-foot bird's nest?
Yes. Yeah. And they've been found in strange places, and they've also been found on logging lands. And some of these companies are, they don't want to bring light to what these things could be, because if this is, say, an endangered species, there goes their land, just like certain areas where construction stopped because of certain owls that were living in that vicinity. So I think if, this is something that people are going to recognize as a real animal, then it's going to have some impact on, say, forestry areas in the Pacific Northwest that have had a ton of sightings, and they're going to deem certain areas places that you don't go. And what's interesting, there's a specific tribe in the Pacific Northwest. Their whole job, or one of their jobs, is actually tracking where the Sasquatch are, so they can let other tribes know to stay out of those areas when they are hunting or moving from one spot to the next in these different pods, which I found amazing that we're starting to hear more of these stories. They're starting to share them with researchers.
Now, I've always imagined, and incorrectly so, Bigfoot being human-sized, 5'8", 6 foot, and I'm hearing more and more, 10 feet. What? Where?
Yeah, and it seems to be like, how is this possible?
Right.
West Coast, Pacific Northwest definitely reports, 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet tall in some reports.
Right.
And then East Coast, some of them are, 6, 7, somewhat human proportions, but clearly, not a human when people see the shoulders and the lack of a neck, and the way that this thing will just move and how it walks, and the footprints it's leaving are showing dermal ridges that are going in the opposite direction of a human's foot, or the evidence of a mid-tarsal break, almost like this hinge on the bottom of a foot. So, yeah.
Duke Sullivan said something to me that really stuck with me, and that is abandoned cabins and things like that are perfect for Bigfoot to maybe hang out or sleep for a night or two.
Sure.
There's that part of it. I want to address this directly. Then there's the other part where Duke said something to me that made a lot of sense. An abandoned barn, and if you're a 10-foot Bigfoot, a cabin, you can't get through the door, right? That's not suitable for an upstanding Bigfoot, right? Bigfoot's going to want a barn, right? A big barn door. He's going to want something that he can stand up in. Right? Now, is that something that you've come across?
A lot. It's funny. A lot of stories of Bigfoots being seen jumping out of the barns or grabbing livestock or poultry. And just for that very point, knowing this is a big structure that they can get into, it's warm, and there's food. They are raiding gardens. People will have apple trees overnight. Half of the supply is gone. Like, what's stealing my apples? And a lot of people will also misidentify Bigfoots for bears or activity that they would deem as bear activity. And when you start to look at it through the lens of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, things start to kind of go, whoa, that experience I had before wasn't what may I have, might have thought back then, but maybe this was a Bigfoot experience, and people will start to put those things together and realize, holy crap, I was this close.
Yeah. What does Bigfoot eat?
They've definitely been seen around blueberry patches, huckleberries, fish. So, omnivores, very. Deer seem to be a big food source. There's been reports of them chasing deer, walking away with deer over their shoulder, dragging deer. So anything, I think, opportunistic when it comes to feeding, whatever they can get. They've also been seen going through dumpsters and trash cans in different residential neighborhoods too. So
now, does Bigfoot know? I mean, obviously smart. Can Bigfoot build a fire? If he he gets a deer. Does he cook the deer?
It's believed that they don't know or they don't use fire. However, there's also been reports of them, playing with fire, where a campfire was left and they would almost be playing with the branches like a sparkler or something and messing with it. But it's not known that they actually use it as a way to cook food. At least not yet. No one's seen anything like that.
Now, what about and I'm not trying to be funny here, but if you have a Bigfoot family, right? Mommy, daddy, Bigfoot, couple of kids,
yep.
You got to have an apartment, right? You're not living out in the open.
I think there's something to do with that wet dog smell, that stench, that musty odor that people describe smelling before a sighting or after a sighting. And it's been proposed that this is some sort of a defense mechanism, or but maybe that's, are they living underground in cave systems?
Right.
There's a lot of caves out here in Leominster State Forest that have yet to be explored, but we know they're here. And some of these are very, very large for something to hide in there, to use it for shelter when they need to. So I think it's highly plausible that they are living underground, and that's kind of that methane is kind of what we're smelling on their fur or their hair or what have you.
And what about the reports of one of my best friends that I've known for 25 years told me a story about him up in Montana on their family's property, and he's fishing. I don't want to get into a long story here, but he's 14, 15 years old on the property. Mm-hmm. They got 1,000 acres, whatever.
Jeez.
And they've got a creek, right? Anyway, so he's fishing, and boulders start flying, from the ridge line behind him. And he turns around and he looks, and Bigfoot was looking at him from,
wow.
But he just got the head. Anyway, he was telling me about bowling ball sized rocks right?
Yes, yes.
And this is something that happens all the time.
You know, people will get rocks thrown at them in the middle of the forest when they set up camp, or they're walking a certain trail, or in this situation like your buddy where he's fishing and probably in the fishing hole where Bigfoot is using it for food, and they're in the wrong spot. But people have described these boulder-sized rocks that will never hit them,
right?
But they will land perfectly, right to where they are. And there was a researcher that asked a question from a witness and asked, which way was the rock spinning? Because primates will throw it underhand, they won't throw it overhand, and described it very similar of how a primate would throw it underhand, which I thought was really amazing observation that this guy could recall this detail. But the fact that they are meant to scare and not hurt us, where they could easily knock us out and take us for food, it seems to be almost just a warning. And a lot of people have described the same experiences. I know what you're trying to say, I'll leave. But they never seem to get hit by these things. However, people think that they use these boulder-sized rocks to take out deer, to take out their prey, because they seem to be extremely accurate at not hitting us. I'm sure that they could take us out if they wanted to.
Now, Ronnie, you're going to have to stay for overtime.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to keep going. Okay, so that being said, that's my Bigfoot warning shot with the boulder. You're staying.
Oh yeah,
you're staying for some overtime. But what about Bigfoot attacks on humans? Has there been any reports of that?
There's just the classic Ape Canyon story where there were some gold miners that were out, had a cabin, and they were accosted. Their cabin was attacked when one of these guys had reportedly shot one, and that's the only known attack. No one's ever been murdered, let's say. But however, you got David Poli's work where missing 411, and you have all these different people disappearing from the forest. What's the probability that some of these people could have disappeared from a Sasquatch? I think it's possible. I don't think it's the book's closed where that cannot happen.
I can put you in touch with a friend of mine that had a pretty physical encounter, him and a friend, with 2 or 3, let's just call them black big things, at about 1 a.m. And this happened about a year ago. I could put you in touch with him. As a matter of fact, he's listening right now.
Oh, that'd be incredible. Awesome.
All right.
Love it.
You know who I'm talking to right now, and just text me if you want me to connect you with Ronny Le Blanc. But I'm just going to tell you, Sage ain't going to take no BS. Ronnie, you'll listen to your story.
Oh yes.
All right, Ronnie, let's take a break right here. Let's get into some overtime. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Ronny Le Blanc. It's been a few years since he's been on the show.
Has.
So let's take advantage of our time together right now. Ronny Le Blanc is doing overtime on Fade to Black when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. This is Jimmy Church, and I invite you to attend the 20th Annual Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo live and in person this September 17th, 18th, and 19th at the LAX Airport Hilton. Connect with exhibitors, community, thought leaders, and friends as we begin to recreate the world. You can also watch the expo from the comfort of your own home. Live stream from the main stage in Los Angeles and from the main stage in London. Truly a global simulcast event broadcast around the world. Live stream and in-person expo tickets are available now. I'll be your host all weekend long from Los Angeles. And on Friday, it's my Ancient Secrets and Earth Mysteries themed segment with James Keenan, Caroline Corey, and William Henry. And on Saturday, Daniel Sheen and I sit down for a one-on-one interview live. We have an amazing lineup of 25 speakers, including Bashar, Gail Thackeray, Kimberly Meredith, Whitley Strieber, Stephen Bassett, Daniel Brinkley, and Lisa Garr. Please visit ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and info. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com and use that promo code Jimmy for a special discount. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Ronny Le Blanc. We are going straight into overtime. Want to remind everybody what's going on tomorrow. Tomorrow, Avi Loeb is here from Harvard University. We'll be talking about the Galileo Project, his Galileo Project. So that is going on tomorrow night. Thursday night, there's no show. I'm taking the night off. But right now, it's all about Ronny. And now, Ronny, when we get into overtime, I'd like to loosen things up a little bit, but not tonight. No, we're not going to laugh. Oh, maybe a little bit. I want to discuss something that I think may be going on. Do you think the government is covering things up, just like they are with the UFO subject?
Yes, I do, and I think because they know that these things are probably interdimensional. There's a story from I believe it was Edwards Air Force Base where military police were given starlight scopes, and they were told that if you see these creatures that are, and the description was Bigfoot description, do not engage, just observe. And supposedly they were entering the base in the middle of the night and walking around in a restricted base somehow. So, it's interesting that, you have the Army Corps of Engineers in Washington State. They had back in the 70s, had a pamphlet of all the wildlife and everything. And they have in there Sasquatch as being a creature to be on the lookout for, that people have reported a primate type being. So I think they've known about it for a long time. There's been reports of these strange creatures coming out of UFOs, going into them, being seen holding a ball of light in Pennsylvania. So just really strange science fiction-y stories.
If a Bigfoot, let's say, okay, let's go a little hypothetical here. You guys are out, you're filming, right? And you find a body. You've got Bigfoot. Would you be able to go public with that? Or do you think somebody's going to step in, the Bigfoot men in black, right?
Yeah, you wonder, and I definitely do. I feel like if there was, this discovery, and we had a situation in Washington where we were investigating a certain area, and we had black helicopters flying over us in the middle of the night, literally circling us while we're doing an investigation. So I think that they're definitely aware of these things, and if we did uncover something like that, you would have to wonder. I think it would be whisked away, or we wouldn't have that opportunity. I hope not, but I have that feeling that would disappear really quick.
And right now we're going through another fire season, right? We're going through another fire,
right? Another one,
and I would assume all kinds of wildlife gets stuck in that they can't outrun the fire. It's horrible to think about, but the same thing would have to be with Bigfoot, that they could get trapped, they could die. There must be, just like other animals, a Bigfoot body somewhere right now in one of these fires. I don't want to suggest that, but it has to be that way. It's part of nature. Would a government agency step in and retrieve those bodies before, let's say, a firefighter or a forest ranger would come across them? Or if a forest ranger did come across the body, that's a government agent right there. Does he pick up his phone and make a phone call?
I don't know if you remember, a couple years back, there was a rumor, it was on social media, that there was due to a forest fire, they came across a badly burned body of a Sasquatch that was taken away by some agency. And so, everyone chalks this up to just mere, rumor or something that was fabricated. But I always feel there's truth to these stories or these legends. They're born out of some kind of truth. Whether that's true or not, it'd be interesting. But I've always found like the the evidence or bodies when we talk about the Smithsonian and these giant skeletons that were found that were supposedly whisked away, are these the bones that we're looking for? But I think if there was a forest fire and something like this, that body would be gone. Just like if there was an alien body, I think they have the same level of secrecy in a way when it comes to the government.
Do you think? Have you ever talked to a forest ranger about these subjects?
I have a friend that used to work for the forestry department back here in Massachusetts, in Western Mass, and had a crazy visual sighting that he shared with his supervisor. And his supervisor basically was like, put it in this file with all the other ones that we don't talk about. And also heard stories from other coworkers that they had found, prints, tracks along some of these trails, and they were asked to kind of hide them, destroy them, so people weren't asking questions. So there could be something else kind of going on there, because I definitely know of these stories from people firsthand that had these experiences.
I would assume, and you know what they say about assuming, but I would assume that when you are going through the training and the application process and everything else that is involved to get into forestry and to be a ranger, rangers have the ability to execute law and to do a lot of things, that there must be a process in place for Bigfoot. There must be a reporting process, and I don't think you're calling the local news, right? There's got to be logistics involved if something happens.
Yeah, and I don't know if I think obviously maybe Pacific Northwest, they may have some kind of unwritten rule. Who knows? But not that I'm aware of, but it would be pretty cool to hear about something like that in effect. And staying on this subject, it's only because where you have public panic, or the reality of, something that's going to be a paradigm shift. And, the reality of UFOs is one thing. But if suddenly Bigfoot is real, that is something else that a lot of people would have a difficult time accepting. And I don't think it may be a positive response. I could be wrong. No, I mean, you see more and more people camping and going into the outdoors, especially with COVID. If you are now getting that concrete evidence that there is something else in these woods with you, you're not going to have people going out there. I know hunters that are not scared of anything and have had experiences that they said, I'm done hunting. I'm no longer going in. There's no chance I'm going back there. And that's going to be something, that's trauma at that point. So I have to believe someone that has that type of response, that they're willing to stop something they love so much because the fear is just way too great. There's something to that.
When I was a kid, you reminded me of this, and I've got to share this with you. When I was a kid in Chicago, I was maybe 9 years old, right? But we used to, all the schools did this. You went down to Chicago to the Field Museum, or you went to the Museum of Science and Industry, the Shed Aquarium, these great things that were built for the World's Fair in Chicago. And but the Field Museum is incredible. And I distinctly remember reading a brochure in my 4th or 5th grade class for the Field Museum. And in this brochure was this, I think it said, giant skeleton. on display at the Field Museum, and it was like 9 foot tall. Something incredible. But I remember reading that, and I was thinking, man, we're going to the Field Museum. I got to go see the giant skeleton, right? Nothing. And I remember going to the Field Museum and asking people, no, it's not. Well, wait a minute, right? So I remember this, and I went to follow up on the internet today. There's nothing there. It's this. It's like this memory that I had was incorrect, but it goes back to your point, right? That there were giant skeletons on display. Was this Homo sapien, right?
Right.
Giants of us, or were these skeletons of Bigfoot? Right? And I know that at the Field Museum in Chicago, I'm telling you, they were advertising this thing.
And there's reports, there's newspaper articles from the early 1900s. They were uncovering them in Ohio, Serpent Mounds, and all over the country. And where did all these go? Why are all these skeletons supposedly taken by the Smithsonian and locked away? They must reveal a greater truth to kind of our ancestry of where we come from, but maybe these things have been living alongside us this entire time.
Do you have a documentary? I wanted to ask you about this. Do you have a documentary that about Bigfoot for you that stands out? And if you were going to recommend something to me to watch?
I would have you definitely watch our show, but for a documentary, there has been one that I think has really, we've seen the Patterson Gimlin film, and I think we talked about that earlier, where it's like we have to kind of move forward into these other sightings, these other experiences. And I think there needs to be that documentary done, whether it's a big name to really take it to that next level, because there's not one that really stands out like this is the culmination of everything. Because I think you have to, that paranormal piece of it plays into the whole picture. And I don't think I've seen something that's been done that really is like, okay, this has everything. I think it's coming.
One of his name's Donnie. He does films, videos for us here on the show, and he wanted me to ask you this. So I'm just going to read it to you directly. He says,
Okay,
"Hey
great.
Jimmy, I would love to hear his opinion on those Bigfoot video shots in the documentary Discovering Bigfoot. Can you ask him what he thinks?"
And this one, I'm trying to think if I've seen this one yet. There is the one from Todd Standing, I believe he's mentioning the close-up shots, I believe. And I'm not convinced. They definitely one looks pretty good, and another one looks like a bad Star Wars character that was put together. If he's talking about those clips, but there's other things that Todd Standing has that is really some of these other videos of one of these figures running up this cliff, jumping up a hill that would be impossible for a human to do.
I've seen that video. Yes.
Oh my God. And you're kind of like, okay. And then you see this other stuff that people will, fraud Standing, and they just jump on it and that's it. But he's got some good things. But I think some of these close-ups, it's almost too good to be true that they're just standing still for him for these videos.
Yeah, that one video he's talking, it's like Bigfoot parkour.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was incredible to see that thing go up. It was almost like, how is this? And you see it cruise through the woods and it's gone. And you're like, yeah, I don't see a human doing that.
Now, Dan from Australia, I wanted to get this into as well.
Cool.
He said there was an article from 2016 from Canada about a man witnessing a Bigfoot entering a beam of light or a UFO and the UFO disappearing. Do you remember that?
I do. I love hearing these stories and encounters because there's definitely a lot of them, a lot more than people think there are.
And he points out that this was at sea at Coast to Coast, and I remember reading the article when I was in the Coast studio, and I've always come back to that reality, that I think that there is a direct connection here between Bigfoot and UFO. I can't help but think about Dyatlov Pass and that entire, because Dyatlov Pass, to me, if you don't know the backstory of the lights in the sky and what was reported in the days leading up to,
that's right, Orange Orbs, and,
right. If you don't know that part of the story, it sounds like a tragic Yeti Bigfoot attack, and that's what it is. And then you hear about the military involvement and the sightings that happened the 2 and 3 days prior to Dyatlov Pass. And then you start to realize that there is another connection here. And I find that more and more, that the UFO Bigfoot connection is something that we can't ignore anymore. And we need to focus on that.
Yeah, and I think, the work of Stan Gordon and others, I know a lot more researchers that are a set of ideas and eyes that I think are going to crack this, at least get us closer.
And Dan wanted to follow up with it. He says, are these agencies so frightened of people learning that there is something outside of the normal like Bigfoot? And, if so, why? Right? Why is it that they're so desperate to keep this, hidden, another hidden truth?
The one thing that's always bothered me about the UFO subject, and it's not talked about enough, is this whole issue with time, where people have missing time, and the ability for UFOs or their occupants to manipulate time. And people have also described this with Bigfoot encounters, almost feel like they're in some kind of weird zone or being zapped, and there's some correlation there, and I think that's where that big jump, where if people realize that these things can do this kind of stuff, where we're talking about missing time and all these things, you're basically, it's impossible for you to have any upper hand. I think that would just terrify everybody.
Is it because, something as simple, Ronnie, as, and I hear this all the time, and so do you. Pandas, we didn't know. That was just discovered. Pandas can hide. And that is taking it in a purely physical, Bigfoot is just a species. And one day we will discover the species, and then this whole thing is going to be over with, like the elusive panda. And it can't be dumbed down so simply, can it?
I mean, if they had said, we're seeing these pandas disappear in a flash of light, and we're seeing these pandas walking around with orbs, that's the crazy piece with Bigfoot, is there's these other elements of high strangeness that come along with it's not witnessed with any other animal. That would have to tell you that you're dealing with something that is not an animal. It is definitely something else.
Man, what a great show tonight. What a great conversation. I expected this, but man, this is so much fun.
Thank you, Jimmy. It's been awesome.
What's the deal with season 3?
Season 3, we're hoping release is typically late December, early January, beginning of January. And from my understanding, we haven't got the official the date, but it seems to be that we're focusing on the beginning of 2022. We're a few months away.
How many episodes?
It looks like we're going to have a good amount, at least anywhere from 12 to 14, maybe more.
And I want to invite you back, and we'll bring Sage with you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Russ. Let's call him Russ. You know what's funny is when I was he introduced himself to me as Sage. So he's Sage, right?
Yes.
And I've had so many people go, "Are you talking about Russ?" I'm like, "What? Wait. It's Sage." No, I think it's Russ. Is it Russ or is it Sage? What do you call him?
I call him Russ, but Sage is, I guess, a name from he'll probably talk about next time we're on.
Okay. All right. Well, when everything premieres, we'll get everybody on the show and we'll do another Bigfoot night with you guys. Thank you so much.
I love it. Sounds great. Thank you, Jimmy.
You're the absolute best. Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Thank you, brother.
Everything is available right there. You can go to Ronnie Blanc, RonnieLeBlanc.com. The links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. His books are there. Great information. Go and check out the site. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. I want to remember Big Show, too, as well. We've got Avi Loeb here from Harvard. And Avi is taking the time to come in with us for 2 hours, which he doesn't normally do. So we're going to be able to do a pretty deep dive into the Galileo project tomorrow night. And then Thursday night, I am taking the night off. I have stuff that I have to do. It's totally business related, but I'll keep everybody posted. I know it sounds a little secretive, and it kind of is, but it's pretty cool. All right, so that's going down Thursday, and then I will circle back and see everybody here on Monday. We've got a big show. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. On Monday, I'm going to have the director and the executive producer on for my next film that, well, it's not all about me, is it? And that's what we are going to do on Monday. We're going to do a special world premiere of the trailer exclusively here on Fade to Black. We've got a release date. We've got a film festival that's coming up. All of that, and we are going to announce all of that on Monday, so get ready. All right? I've got a busy weekend in front of me, and I'll see everybody tomorrow night with Avi Loeb. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmasters, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer. We're in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll see you tomorrow night with Avi Loeb. Until then, be safe. It's time to fade to black.